This is Chris Osborne from Play Comics, and you are listening to Genuine Chit-Chat. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This week is part 2 of my chat with Steph the Crab, and part 1 was released last week, so if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you go check that out first. This week we continue our chat talking about being passionate about hobbies and that sort of thing, and then we move on to sex, basically. We talk about sex for about half an hour, maybe even 40 minutes. We talk about all kinds of different things. Dick pics and nudes, sex, genitals, the stigma of sexuality and sex, flirting, communication with sexual partners, confidence, insults, all that sort of thing, as well as child development and sexuality, and I even speak about Sigmund Freud and his ideas on the psychological sort of approaches, or his psychological approaches to the development of children and how that can affect you in the future, as well as we talk about fetishes, and we also talk about censorship. And then the last 15 or so minutes of the podcast, we discuss Dude, Where's My Challenge, which is Steph's brother's YouTube channel that he does. I kind of describe it almost as like Jackass, but for YouTube. So if you want to go check that out, check that out as well. Some of the things they do on there are pretty ridiculous, but quite entertaining to watch. Before we get started, there's a promo for the hashtag No Offense podcast, so be sure to check those guys out once you're done listening to this episode. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back at the end to talk about what's coming up.
Hey, this is Chris from the hashtag No Offense podcast. What we are a weekly podcast of just 3 average guys from Tampa, Florida, sharing a few beers and a few laughs. Topics ranging from music and movies to kids and marriage to current events and social commentary, all while putting our own personal touch on it. Check out this clip from our most recent episode.
That was amazing.
I don't get what this woman's thinking, dude. She's got like a 40-pound fucking beast on the, like in the airport on the thing. Did you see the pictures?
No, I didn't.
It was loose. It wasn't in a cage, dude. It was perched up on her fucking like luggage cart, dude. And she's just trying to roll it up into the... She bought a seat for it. She thought that would make it okay. She bought a ticket for the fucking peacock.
Well, at least she bought a seat for it.
But they told her ahead of time, apparently, no, this is not going to fly, and she just brought the fucking thing in.
Well,
Like,
do peacocks fly? I don't think
do they?
I don't know if they can fly or not.
I don't know.
I wonder if she plays that Katy Perry
Maybe.
song "Peacock" when she walks around. I want to see your peacock, cock, your peacock.
I don't even know that song.
I don't
You
either.
don't know that song?
And did you pull up the lyrics to that song on your
I
laptop?
wanted to make sure I got it correct.
You did. I knew it. I saw you look.
I mean,
saw
I like
you-
the song, but
I
I
saw
wanted
you
to make
look
sure
at-
I got it correct.
I said I want to make sure I got the right number of cocks. So if you like what you heard, search for hashtag No Offense on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcast fix, and look for us on social media at HTNOS everywhere.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton. Like because with you on YouTube, what a lot of people don't get, which is very impressive, like lots of hobbies, pretty much all hobbies I think, there's the amount of time that it takes to do stuff that people don't see, and then what people do see. You know,
Yeah.
when you see footballers, obviously I have a big issue with footballers getting paid the amount they do.
Yeah.
However, they do get up ridiculously early all the time. They're always training. A lot of them, like when it's in season, don't drink, don't do this, don't do that. They're very strict with fitness because they're running around for 45 minutes, then running around for another 45 minutes. You know, it's very physically draining, and that's respectable. And with a lot of sports, it's like that. Or with people who you get people who draw and you go, God, you're such a good artist. It's not like they just picked up a pencil in 10 minutes they drew like the Mona Lisa. They have to spend ages working at it and getting better and things. And it's like with you on YouTube, as from my experience, obviously, because I did YouTube as well, people really don't get how much work you put in.
No.
They see a 5-minute video and they go, I don't know, it's half an hour to do. It's like, are you bloody serious? Fucking
It
joke.
takes forever.
Yeah.
It takes forever, especially ones where you have a lot of maybe different type of scenes, where a lot of different cuts, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be quite long, and I'm surprised I've stuck at it as long as I have. I mean, I've released one every week,
Yeah.
and I don't know how I managed to keep up with it, especially with my job.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's incredibly commendable, and that's what I'm saying. It's what's so impressive is because you say you've been doing it since May 2016. So we're recording this. I mean, as I said, I think at the start, I think I'm going to be releasing this quite soon. So this is actually on Pancake Day. When we're recording
Pancake Day,
Pancake Day,
yay!
and neither of us have had pancakes.
The best day ever.
What a travesty! Neither of us have pancakes on Pancake Day. It's a pancake podcast flop, and
Just like a pancake.
there you go. You got the pun.
Yay!
And yeah, it's really commendable of you sticking out for even. I'm not saying you should, obviously, but even if you quit after 2 years, which I don't think you should, I think you should keep going and follow your dreams. But even if you just did it for 2 years, that's so impressive of having the self-discipline. Because when it's something like YouTube or podcasting or anything like that, when you have to put your own time into it and you have to self-promote, and it's not for any obvious goal, when it's football, it's most of the time it's play in a team, beat the other team, and then keep doing that, and eventually you'll get into better leagues, and then eventually there can be prizes or this, that, and the other. When there's other things that people are passionate about, like drawing or crotcheting or podcasting or anything like that, where there's no specific goal, it's just you start at the bottom, and you could be, I could release a podcast and it could never get more than 100 listens, and that could be it. But equally, you can have it where it could explode and millions of people could listen to it, which is quite unlikely, but it could happen. But it's having the discipline of when you're sat there by yourself and you glance on Facebook or whatever and you see everyone's out drinking or partying or doing this or doing that, and you kind of look at your TV or you look at your game console and stuff and you go, oh, I kind of want to be doing that, but no, I'll stick by it, I'll do this, I'll get this done. And there's that satisfaction, that feeling when you release a finished product. It's really, I recommend to everyone who hasn't got a hobby,
Exactly. I mean, you do release some videos that are absolutely fantastic, and it is sad sometimes when I release something that I think is amazing and it doesn't really get much views. But then I think my most viewed videos where I do underwater breath holding, and a lot of it's perverted comments. A lot of it is, but I guess
it's the internet.
Roll with it, exactly. I mean, I've got a bunch of people on Snapchat who send me dick pics every day.
Well, you're female, and from all the females I know, they all have to be very careful with Snapchat, because they say you put your Snapchat on public for 5 minutes, you have 100 dick pics. And there's some guys I know who have sent dick pics. To it, I'm not going to name them, but we know we know one of them who sent a dick pic to someone else that you may know. And it completely threw me off. I was like, he did it? I thought, what? And he's a really nice guy, but I was just well confused.
Because I don't know what's really attractive about a dick pic, though.
I don't know what's attractive about a dick. Dicks are gross.
I don't know. They can look a bit cute. That sounds really weird.
I hope a woman never calls my dick
shriveled,
cute.
But...
I hope a woman never calls my dick cute. That's not what I need in my life.
That's probably not the best thing that you want to hear.
No.
Give your cute dick over here. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's not sexy. That's just, that would make me like turtle. It would make you just go in a little bit, just freak out. It's but it's so dick pics are so weird. I've sent one dick pic in my life, okay, and that was only
and that got leaked on the internet. I'm joking.
It's not an attractive picture. I sent on Snapchat, so I don't have it anymore. But it's with a woman that I was sleeping with at the time, and it was just late at night. It was semi recently, to be honest, but it was first dick pic ever, and it was only because we were we were like sexting in a sense, where we were just talking about we want to fuck each other, that that sort of thing, and you're both not with each other, and you're both getting more and more like, I just want to fuck something, and she sent me a picture of herself topless and stuff, and asked for a picture of it, and I was like, right, she's already sent me a picture of herself topless. I can't back out. That's not fair. If she's done that, then I have to trust that she's not going to take a screenshot of this. And I just said, please don't take a screenshot. She was like, obviously I won't. I was like, I'm just really paranoid, okay? I'm not saying I've got a small dick or anything. I'm just saying there's certain parts, I will talk about almost anything, and I'm an open book, but my genitals is probably the only thing about me that I don't really want everyone to see. It's just not... And that picture I took of myself, to me, is gross. I mean, to her, she found it very sexy at the time. But there's a lot of things with sex that I find hilarious, which is... I think sex is one of the funniest things in the world.
Oh, God, it's so funny.
Some of the things
but it's also the best thing in the world.
It is.
It's one of the best things.
Damn good. It's thoroughly enjoyable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird, because everyone's got... Well, men probably not, but girls have hundreds of nudes on their phone.
Yeah.
I accidentally set my tits about 3 years ago on Snapchat for some reason.
Really?
I didn't mean to, and my boobs just was on my Snapchat story. And I didn't know how to get rid of it, and I was calling my friend like, "How'd you get rid of it? How'd you get it off? How'd you get it off?"
I bet a lot of guys were looking at that like, how do I get that off?
And you know, and you know, it's got to a point now where I don't really care, maybe about like nudity and stuff. I'm just like, whatever, I've got tits, whatever, you know.
I imagine if I got, it's one of those things. I really don't want my dick pic to get leaked or anything
No,
like that.
no,
But
no.
like, if it did, it wouldn't really. If it did, I'd roll with it, kind of like with the bullying thing almost. Where it's like, a lot of celebrities, sorry, they had nudes released, they freak the fuck out. They make a big deal about it. And what happens is, when they make a big deal about it, more people want to see it.
Yeah.
Like Jennifer Lawrence, for example.
Oh yeah, how one?
She had loads as well. And she made, like, understandably, it's an invasion of privacy I can sympathise. That is, the amount of pictures of her that were out in public, that was, no one, I would never wish that upon anyone, really. But like, when she was making a big deal about it, saying, you know, I can't believe everyone's looking at this, being disrespectful. As soon as people did that, anyone who hadn't already seen them was like, oh wait, she's got nudes out. Oh, and she's saying that she doesn't want people to see them. They must be really bad. Let's go take a look. And that's what happens. And like,
And then to be honest, so technically I've seen them, and they're actually quite innocent. They were like the ones that.
there's a few. There's one with her with cum on her face.
Oh.
And there's one where she's bent
Oh, I
over.
haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you can find them anywhere. Oh, I'm being the bad guy now. There's one which was mentioned in South Park, and while watching
You
South
actually
Park,
went
I
out and
looked it
looked for.
up. I did, because in South Park, there's a South Park episode where she's where Cartman goes like he's like that chick from the Hunger Games, you know, she got that picture of her vagina on the internet, you know, and I was talking to the guys because I was with Kieran and Reese at the time, and I was talking to them, and Kieran was like, oh, have you seen that picture? And I was like, oh, I've seen the picture of her topless, and he was like, oh, there's more than that picture, and I was like, is there? He was like, mate, there's like 60 pictures, like all of her nudes got leaked, and I was like, what? So I went on there, it's so bad, I apologise, Jennifer Lawrence, if you're listening, I doubt you are, but you're beautiful, I love you, but sorry. She's bent over, and there's some guy with fingers, like, in her vagina like that, and taking a photo so you can see her asshole, her slightly open vagina, and her on her knees. And I was just like,
Oh, wow, that sounds brilliant.
I remember seeing that and I was like, this is an alright pic, but I was just like, he took that picture, like having Jennifer Lawrence bent over in front of you, you have two fingers inside of her and you're taking a picture. I can't even, if a woman just takes all her clothes off in front of me, my brain stops working, and if I see breasts, that's it. If I could see potentially
fun bags,
chesticles, loads of great names for them. It's like I can seem as fairly intellectual at times. I have my moments, but if there's a woman topless in front of me, I can't think of anything to say. My brain just goes to mush, and it's just like the part of your brain that's just the cognitive thinking part goes, and the animalistic or instinctual part comes to the forefront, and you can only really say sexual words. And that's about it. Yeah, I think if my God forbid that dick pic got out and everyone saw it, I would just go along with it.
but you could have said it for someone else's. Like, it depends what sort of dick pic though, because if you had the one where you've got like the camera like below you and you've got your face in it and you look really,
I made sure my face wasn't in it. It's about, I think, see here, it was that angle. I'd never taken a dick pic. Just people who watched who obviously can't see me. Imagine like kind of laying on the bed, but your back is curved upwards against a pillow, so you're kind of like sitting almost. And my hand and the camera was basically where my thighs are.
Yeah.
Or maybe my knees aiming up. Okay. So it was like from basically just under my chest, under my nipples, from there down basically. And so you couldn't see my face in it, fortunately. But
I've seen a lot worse.
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
I've seen ones where people held it against a Corona bottle.
Oh, so they're trying to show off how big it is.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, guys.
And it's someone that used to bully me at school as well.
Really? Oh wow. It's
And then he's like, delete that. I'm like, no.
it's mine forever
I
now.
ain't gonna delete that. You sent it to me without asking. I'm not gonna delete it.
What's up with unsolicited dick pics? Like, obviously women's breasts are fantastic, and I could look at them all day, and many days I do look at them a lot.
they are beautiful.
And women's vaginas, they look nice.
They do
with
look a bit like
pictures.
Predator though, don't they? They do look like.
Depends on the labia, I suppose. Depends how
I
wide
don't
they are.
know. Yeah, it depends because some people, I don't know.
Of the flapping, of the clapping.
Yeah. Have you seen that one where someone's got like a hairdryer or something and something's blowing anyway, causing the vagina to flap, and they put googly eyes on it, and it looks like it's speaking.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yes, the googly eye one. Yes. Oh my god, that is hilarious. I've seen that. Yeah. I remember that actually. So I think one of my exes showed me randomly. And I was just like, what the. What? I didn't even know what the hell it was for a second. I was like, wait, what is that? What? But vaginas, I think breasts look the best, and then vaginas, then penises. But then I'm a heterosexual male, so you know. But I think balls look the worst. I think balls look.
Oh yeah, they're a bit weird.
You can get there's penises that can vary a lot in. Obviously, there's shape, there's size, there's colour, not just of race, but you can get 20 white guys in all different shades of dick, and you can get some are smooth, some have got bends in them, all kinds of like great shapes and sizes, much like breasts. But like balls are just they're so ugly. Like,
they're so weird, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not.
Tell you what, they are the funnest thing to have in your mouth, though.
The thing is,
it's like a squidgy gobstopper.
Oh God! See, I don't like
know
having...
you could just play with it. It's just weird, it's squidgy, and
they are weird. Like all men know what balls are like a lot more than probably most women know, because when you're a little boy and probably when you're a teenager, a lot of the time, some of my mates still do it now. They just fondle their balls. They'll just be sat watching a movie or by themselves, or just. I've done it a couple of times. Sometimes just having a piss. I'm just like,
what am I doing?
Just kind of want to feel my balls, and you just kind of feel them. You go, yeah, they feel the same as they always kind of have in a way. But it's such a weird texture, because it's almost like it's like the skin on your elbow, but on the inside is like eyeballs almost.
Oh yeah,
it's really weird. But the one thing that any guys listening to this are gonna hate me for this, but like the tubes that come from your balls that go in you, you can feel them, and it's horrendous.
Oh
like,
God, I don't. Oh God, I don't.
It's so bad.
Oh no.
Any guys listening can probably feel them, and they're probably seizing up.
Oh no, I'm feeling a bit. You can feel. Oh.
You can do that, and on the ball sack between, you can feel the tubes. And
that's homework to do, guys.
Don't do that, guys, please.
Next time, just go fondle your balls.
I'm sure most guys have probably tried it, because just feeling around it, men touch their own genitals so much that it's just.
To be honest with you, even sometimes when I just feel like I'm just watching a film, sometimes I feel myself playing with myself, but not in a sexual way, just because vaginas are fun.
Yeah, vaginas are fun.
That's
a good thing. Vaginas are definitely fun.
They're fun things.
They are a lot of
love
fun
socks.
bags, fun things.
The fun things, exactly.
It's sex is such a peculiar thing in it, where now where with the internet and we're becoming such more of a liberal society, it's becoming a lot more accepted. The free the nipple movement and all the sort of women's marches, all these sorts of other things that are great. But it's like so many people are still so prudish.
Yeah.
And a lot, like I would love to talk about sex. I'd like to talk about sex all the time, and I can't at work, because obviously workplace, you're not meant to talk about sex, very inappropriate. I've skirted around ideas and stuff, especially if I ever flirt with any of my co-workers, mainly the men that I end up flirting with, because you flirt with a male co-worker and there's I don't have a worry of me coming off the wrong way and making anyone feel super uncomfortable, and whenever a dude flirts with another dude and they're both clearly straight, it's always very funny. But there's talking about sex, everyone does it. Relatively. The way humans are made 99% of the time is by sex. Obviously you get in vitro and these sorts of other ways of doing it, but the main way is sex. Most people are born because of sex. I keep burping, I apologise, guys. And
okay.
Very rude to you as well, I'm sorry.
It's alright.
And a lot of people, they have relatively everyone has sex. Some people are asexual, that's fine, but generally speaking most people have sex.
Yeah.
And it's such a lot of people in little tight groups talk about it, like friends. Often I know that women often talk about it quite a lot in small groups, and guys do as well. I think in different ways. I'd be intrigued to find out what, but it's just weird to me that so many people are so prudish, and they're so scared, and they don't want to talk about it. It's like, I don't want to talk about what I do in the bedroom. It's like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, the worst possible thing that you guys could be doing is probably shitting on each other, cutting each other, pissing on the wound,
God.
wearing gimp masks, wearing nappies. And if you do all that sort of stuff, it will be like, it's okay.
Not my sort of cup of tea, but whatever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's people I know who do like gimp masks. I personally can't stand them. They freak me the fuck out.
Oh, they do look a bit weird.
Well, I just find, for me, I like obviously I like the human element of it, and I like seeing the woman's face, especially when they're coming. When they wear a gimp mask, that dehumanises them, which freaks me out a bit.
And it looks like you're fucking like a teddy or something. I don't know, because you get those really weird looking ones.
Yeah, there's a lot.
The dog ones. Have you seen the dog gimp masks?
I've seen the bunny ones where you get the big bunny rabbit ears,
and
like big bunny ears.
Oh, but
and
isn't
they're
that
pink
like what's
Playboy
it called?
Things.
Oh, Donnie Darko.
Oh, like the bunny in that.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Well, maybe, I suppose.
But
his face probably wouldn't be good in blowjobs though.
It's really funny actually with sex and stuff, because I unfortunately at the moment I haven't seen my boyfriend since December,
wow.
We used to see each other all the time, but then his dad's come back from Thailand and all this whole stuff, so I can't actually see him as much as I can. Next time I'm seeing him is my birthday, and
when's
it's
that?
going to be like that for next year. In a couple of weeks, 2 weeks' time.
When did you? Oh, so what's the date?
24th of February.
Oh, nice. Well, happy
Where
birthday.
legends are born. Thank you.
Happy birthday for then.
But I find myself a very sexual person. I flirt with everybody, well, not everybody, but people at work, especially when a good-looking guy comes in. I'm like, oh, you want a membership? Oh, okay. And then it's just like, like the other day I had a gentleman come in and he was very, very good-looking. And at one point I just felt like just saying, fuck me now. That's how bad it is,
Yeah.
But yeah, sex is amazing. And I believe it's one of those things that you should really have on a normal, regular basis.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just like me, like a dog in heat.
I'm quite fortunate in the way that since losing my virginity, I haven't gone for more than 6 months.
Go on,
without
you.
it. Well, the thing is that I'm not some sort of, what's the word, stud or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just I've been in quite a lot of like year and a half long relationships, so I've just always been in a relationship, so that's kind of how it's worked out. And then whenever I'm not in a relationship, apart from the last year or so, I've always, as soon as I get out of one, I'm like, I need to be back in a relationship. I was like very codependent, and I found that after Dad died especially, I got even more codependent on people and dependent on friends and stuff, because there's that part missing in your life, and you end up trying to fill it up with other stuff in a way. I was a lot of self-medication with alcohol and other things when when Dad passed as well. But it's like, with genuine human connection, sex is, it's like the most pure thing in a way, in the sense of, if both people are obviously consenting,
Yeah, obviously.
it's loads of fun. Like, you can have, with the same person, you can have like 10 different types of sex without even doing anything different,
Without getting bored, yeah, exactly.
I mean,
if you've got the right person, you won't ever get bored.
Exactly, and it's like, there are certain people though that get together and they're not sexually compatible. And that's one of the reasons why I think sex before marriage, if you don't have sex before marriage, obviously most of the time it's due to religion.
But I'd be worried though. Imagine if they're really, really shit or they can't last.
Well, there's those things obviously.
But then you wouldn't know, because if you'd never had sex before, you wouldn't know if that person's shit or not.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also if
like,
they
I didn't
were...
realise that my ex-boyfriend's cum wasn't supposed to be like consistency of rice pudding.
Oh,
And he told me that was normal.
oh, that's grim. But
And it goes up the wall like flubber.
horrendous.
Yeah, I did not know that wasn't normal.
I see. I guess you wouldn't, would you? I mean, it's not something people obviously talk about that much. Sex education when you're a kid. I went to a Catholic primary school, so I think I had 2 lessons of sex education. That was it. I knew nothing. And like, going into Chamberlain, most of what I learned about sex was from chavs talking about stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I fought this bird.
Well, I knew what masturbating was, masturbation. But do you know how I found out the word wanking was? Luke Cromer. He literally, I think he said, "Are you gonna go have a wank or something?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "A wank." I was like, "Do you know what a wank is?" And I was like, "It's when your penis gets hard." And he was like, "You fucking idiot! That's a boner." So a wank, when you wank off, when you masturbate, when you wank. I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." But there's so many things in school in secondary school, like my parents never spoke to me about sex.
And I don't really see your parents sitting down being like, this is what wanking is.
Well, exactly. Sex education in school was very minimalist, but I think you should have like an open enough relationship with your kids to be able to talk about it in a normal way, a normal healthy way.
This is what cunnilingus is.
I love the word cunnilingus.
And
favourite
analingus makes me laugh. It sounds like a very posh word.
Yeah.
But you'd push it into, like, if you're talking to an intellectual, you'd be like, I'm doing this analingusly. That sort of thing.
That's amazing. Cunnilingus and analingus. I'll have to remember that. Well, I know cunnilingus because I have called it that before.
I've done that. I speak that tongue. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, I have done both of those things, so I haven't had it done to me though. Women have in the past wanted to go near my my back door.
You've never had anyone lick your ass?
No, I haven't.
I'm a very open person, so unfortunately, well,
you don't have to say
not my
who's-
ex,
I was gonna say.
but I have actually licked ass.
Yeah.
And when I've dropped something on the floor, one time I dropped a sweet on the floor, not on the floor, but on the desk at work, and I picked it up and went, well, I've licked an arsehole before, and I'd put the sweet back in my mouth. Things like that don't bother me, as long as you're clean, I don't mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said to women before, I've said when it comes to we've spoken about body chocolate and stuff. Like I'm fine with food in the bedroom and stuff. Now I'm pretty open to relatively anything within reason. But
Gherkin up your ass.
no, thank you. But I'm open to relatively anything. I'm not really that fussed in a sense, but whatever gets off the other person. But when it came to like body chocolate and stuff, some of my women I've been with in the past have been like, "Oh, do you want to lick this off me? Do you want to lick that off me?" And I've been like, "I will, but just so you know, I will lick literally any part of you that you want me to. Like I
don't need to taste it.
I don't need chocolate there. Like the taste of your skin is enough for me. So I'm happy with anything." But so many people are so closed off about it, and when people close off, you get into. I was quite lucky because my first sexual relationship was my first proper relationship, and my first. It was in college and stuff. First love. We lost our virginities to each other. It was all lovely. Cute. And she was she was very open about that sort of thing and was very good at communicating. And I contribute a lot of my my sexual being to her because she. When I grew up and I spoke to my guy friends about it and stuff like that, and I talked to them about sex and stuff, they didn't talk with their girlfriends in that way as much because their girlfriends weren't necessarily as open in that way. And communication with relationships, whether it's sexual or otherwise, is just so key. And sex, if you get with someone who you can just openly talk with, like a while back I was with someone who I'd slept with numerous times and we were fooling around and playing around and stuff, and I was using my hands on her downstairs, and I don't know why, I was just doing, I think my arm was getting tired, I started doing this weird movement, and she just stopped me. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, you've never done that action before in your life, and you're normally fine at that sort of thing, but why? Just stop doing that and do it properly, essentially. And I was like, at the moment I was just a bit like, what? I was a bit, okay, sorry, I guess I was kind of like half thinking about it. I think I was a bit tired, my arm was aching, bad excuses, but because she said that, I was just... That's what you need. Whereas if she hadn't said anything, I'd probably been doing that same motion for a while.
And she'd be a bit bored, yeah.
And she'd have either had to fake, which I would never want a woman to do for me. I'd rather she's told me what I'm doing is bad and to change it. And that's what I had about the first relationship I was in. And all the women I've been with since then have been very open about that sort of thing and very good with communicating. And that's all I need. You know, if I'm going down on a woman and she wants me to go harder or soft or this, if she doesn't tell me, I won't know. And then if I just do say the same thing every single time and they never complain, I think, okay, this is what she likes. But if she says, "You're going not hard enough or not fast enough or you're doing this wrong," if you tell me, I'll learn, I'll pick it up, I'll be better. And it's the same the other way around, you know? You have to... Men a lot of the time, though, unfortunately, have an ego about sex. They have an ego about their penis size. They have an ego about lasting. They have an ego about... it's more insecurities about their penis size. Insecurities about lasting. Insecurities about being able to pleasure a woman, because there's a lot of social pressure on men and also a lot of social pressure about women of putting out. So it's even in different ways. But if people just discussed it more and were more open about it, and when I was with this girl, you know, she'd never given a blowjob before.
No.
She wasn't that great at it, but I wasn't great at cunnilingus, so that's fine. When we spoke to each other about it, we found out and we got better. That's what you do.
Exactly.
It's with everything. You can't, like with anything, with hobbies, sports, anything. You get better. You can learn by yourself, but if someone else teaches you, you can excel way quicker.
Exactly.
And sex is the same. It's all about communication, and I just think that's the important thing with friendships, relationships, everything. You know, it's people talking about these things.
Exactly. I found out that everything that I was doing basically for my first relationship with my current boyfriend was completely wrong. Like, I didn't even know how to kiss properly. And I didn't even know how to, suck a dick properly. And now, obviously, he says to me that I'm fantastic and I'm brilliant and that, and it makes me feel like a mini porn star. But then...
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? You want someone to be able to not criticise the wrong word, but...
Critique,
yeah. I want you to critique you in a fine way without attacking you, but then also makes you feel gratified, makes you feel sexy, you know?
Exactly.
A lot of the women I've been with, even when I was like quite fat and stuff like that, they'd always say that they find me really sexy and attractive, and that was really great for my self-confidence, because when I was... I was a fat kid with a Jewfro who'd never been with a woman. Yeah, who'd never been with a woman before, and then being told I was sexy. I was just like, holy fuck! Like, never. It's really weird, and
it gives you ego. It does. It gives you that confidence that you need, though. Not like an ego where you're like, oh, I'm better than everyone, but more of a better ego.
Pride,
for example,
confidence.
I still get shocked when I get people that say really nice things about me, because when I was younger, I was told that I was ugly, ginger, bitch, all this horrible, nasty stuff to me.
Yeah.
So I never thought I was ever going to be, you know, where anyone would find me ever attractive.
Yeah.
So when I started getting stuff on social media, I started getting comments, I started getting people saying really nice stuff about me. I was just like, even now it freaks me out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really?
Yeah, I don't know what to do. If people insult me, I know exactly how to take that. You
Yeah.
either take it, make a joke, take it, retaliate, or take it and say nothing. It's easy. If people insult me, I can deal with people insult me all day long. When people compliment me, because in a similar vein to you, where for so long when I was younger, I'd get complimented on my intelligence a fair amount, but when it came to physical appearance, it was fat loser, ugly virgin, just all the time, you know. And it was like that got ingrained into me, and I had very not confident in my body or anything for a very long time. I'm not that confident with it now, but obviously I've lost a lot more weight and I get more compliments about it, so it's easier for me. But when people like compliment me now or on my appearance, like I make jokes occasionally about being ugly or something like that, you know, more in a jovial sense. But now when I say that, people go, you know, you're not actually ugly, right? Like you're not. Like you can make jokes like this sort of thing. It's funny, but you are aware that. And people say that things to me, I'm just a bit like, I don't know what to say. It's just because as I'm getting older, I'm getting more used to it in a sense. But I was so for a while, especially when I lost a lot of weight and a lot of people were complimenting me, I didn't know how to take it, because I was like, not that my friends never complimented me. That's not like that, but like people you're not familiar with giving you compliments, you just don't know how to respond to it, because you've never known, you know?
Exactly. It's and when it comes to it, like, because I must admit, because especially after school and after college and stuff, as soon as I hit college and people started saying stuff to me, I got a little bit like, oh, that guy likes me and all this other stuff. And then I got a bit confident and everything like that. But even now, if anyone says something to me, I'm like, oh God, like what? Like, oh my God, I get shy and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's really weird, especially when you're told something ever since you were younger. You had it drilled into your head. I mean, I absolutely hated myself when I was a kid because of the fact that very nasty. I remember one time, I won't mention names, but I broke my foot at school. Well, not at school, but I broke my foot. And one of the bullies pushed me to the side and started stomping on my foot. And luckily it was the one that wasn't broken, because it was just a toe, you see. So obviously I didn't have a crutch or anything like that. Was stomping on the wrong foot. It just pushed me and started stomping on my foot. And luckily it was the wrong foot. But I was just kind of like, what the fuck? And then it was the same boy he grabbed my head one day and started smashing my head on his cock. Really strange, very strange. And at that time I was like, whoa, what the hell? So when it come to the fact that I realised guys could be nice, because I had no guy friends at one point, and when I realised that guys could actually be really nice, I realised actually they're not arseholes. They're not, because I used to think that all guys were the same. Yeah,
well, that can happen. If it happens with a lot of times, when people only have negative experiences from either males or females or a minority, you know, if for example you live in a small village in Britain or Britain, or let's say Cornwall in Britain, for example, where it can be quite isolated, you're in a village, it's all white people, then you have one interaction with, say, one black person, it's a negative interaction, and then say a lot of the people, I'm not saying everyone in Cornwall's racist, but you know, if this little village is a little bit racist,
no, not catching them killers then.
Love Hot Fuzz. And you know, if you get a little community where it's isolated and you don't get any exterior sort of things coming in, and then you have one negative thing from a minority or this or that, then you'd start thinking, oh, all black people are bad or all this bad, because you've only ever had these amount of interactions with them. Or if people are telling you, like, if you have one neutral interaction with a male, obviously with your example, or a negative interaction with a male, and then all the people who are around you saying, oh yeah, men are awful, men are this, then you believe it because you trust what people say in your own experience, so it just happens to you.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of time for people to really get out, and that's what I like about the internet and podcasting and YouTube and all these sorts of other things of like, you don't have to just take what's in your immediate vicinity anymore. You know, if you want to learn about the Gulf War, you just Google it. If you want to find out, okay, what is some tribe in Kenya doing? You know, what do they do there? If you Google it, you find loads of pictures from National Geographic or something. You know, curiosity now gets backed up by, I don't want to say fact quite as much, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet that is a bit not quite fact, but whereas before it was like, well, either go to the library or talk to your grandpa, and a lot of the grandparents are quite racist and stuff.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you try and talk to any of them about it, and they've only had
Exactly.
negative interactions with foreigners because they've all been at war and stuff, a lot of them. So they just think, they're coming over here trying to invade us. It's like, no, grandpa, not everyone from a different country is like a Nazi German, okay? That's not the way it is anymore, grandpa, just calm down.
They just think they're currently in an episode of Dad's Army. It's just, that's what grandparents,
Yeah, that's what that's what kind of things they grow up. And every generation has its own struggles, And I find with parents, for example, like my parents, obviously my late father and my mum who's still alive, they weren't perfect parents. They're good people at heart. And my mum now is much better and I love her to bits, obviously, but they weren't perfect parents. But their parents were awful. Well, my dad's parents, I think, weren't too bad, but my mum's dad, who is still alive, he's my granddad, he's awful. I don't like him at all, to be honest with you. And her mum died when I was like 4, so I never met her. But he was a really horrible person. But the thing is that he was, I think he's 80-something now, which means that, he was born around the time during
80,
the war.
I'd say 30s normally, because my granddad's 78.
Yeah.
And I believe, he was 1940, so.
Yeah, so they lived through the war, that sort of time. But you've got to think, like, one of the reasons I find their actions, they're understandable, but they're not excusable. Because you've got to think, like, if you go back, let's say 6 generations, okay? Now, that was before the 1900s sort of thing. Now, that's the 1800s. Now, the thought of the 1800s in your mind, you go, oh, that was bloody ages ago. It's like, it's not that long ago. Like, really not that long ago. Like, I don't think anyone is alive anymore who lived through World War One. But there were people who were alive a few years ago who lived through World War One and World War Two.
Titanic.
Well, exactly, and these sorts of things. It's like, you go back so far, and what happened was, before the 1900s, essentially, everyone was way poorer, except certain people who were right at the very top, but a lot of people were a lot poorer, a lot more lower quality of life. And then you get people, when we start getting electricity and the radio and TV, what happens? You get World War One, and people have to ration, and they have to ration everything. They're living in essentially poverty. They have to be very careful with all their eating and stuff. They finally start to recover. World War II happens. The same thing, if not worse, happens again. And then for years and years after World War II, everyone was on rations again and all these sorts of things. And these with the grandparents' generations and the great-grandparents, that sort of thing, they had to live through the war. They had to have that stiff upper lip thing. Oh, don't cry. Men don't cry because you've got to go to war and fight. And then the wars aren't the same anymore, and the world obviously is a very different place. But then you have to think those great-grandparents like stiff upper lip. Then they told their kids stiff upper lip. And then they told their kids. And it kind of, each generation gets better, and we learn from our parents' mistakes. But like our grandparents, like, I'm pretty certain that the majority of grandparents I know of were hit by their parents. Like, a lot of our parents' generation, so they're the baby boomer generation, a lot of them were hit by their parents. Like, my mum was hit by my granddad. Like, it wasn't like a... Now, if I had a kid and I was in the middle of Tesco and I backhanded my kid, I doubt I'd get kicked out, but I'd get a lot of shocks,
Yeah.
It'd be
Exactly.
a very bad vibe. Back then, 80 years ago, that was the norm. They used to have the cane in school. You used to act up. A teacher would smack you with a wooden stick. It's like, what the fuck?
It's really bad.
Yeah.
I guess it would have been quite good if you, one of our school
Into that
bullies.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine...
Or if you're into that sort of thing.
Maybe it made a lot of people into...
If you're into canes and whips.
Yeah, got into... what was it? Sex in the air, I don't care, I love the smell of it. That's the Rihanna song. S&M.
Yeah, but what is the smell of sex, though? Sweat and cum?
Well, I find that everything sexual is almost in like a genre of smell. Because like Kleeman, like female juices, I call it Kleeman. So it's
What?
well, it's, clitoral semen, essentially. I know it don't come out the clitoris, but it's the word. I didn't coin the word. I just gave meaning to it. It was in Family Guy, one of the episodes of Family Guy.
So funny.
Well, one of the episodes of Family Guy, it's on the news when Tom Tucker and that woman are talking, and it's like, next up, America's hardest new curse word, Kleeman. Find out what it means straight after this. And then the next scene, obviously nothing to do with it. So they came up with the word Kleeman, and I heard that, and I was like, I wonder if that's the name for female vaginal juices. And I was like, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm going to call it Kleeman. So I don't really want to look it up just in case it's not. But,
Urban Dictionary.
I might do. Maybe I'll have to. But
If you Urban Dictionary chock ice, you would get a very big shock.
I see. Well, I have the nickname at work, Icy Mike, because one of my mates, Johnny, who I've done a podcast with, he likes to give everyone stupid nicknames, and an Icy Mike on the Urban Dictionary is you piss in a condom, freeze it, and then fuck someone with
That's
it.
a bit like a chalk ice. You shit in a condom, you freeze it.
There we go. Chalk ice and Icy Mike. There we go. How
Oh,
lovely.
that sounds so romantic.
Lovely. Oh God. So
Oh,
horrendous.
that would be so good on Valentine's Day.
What a
Everyone
nice
just fucking each other with condoms.
That would be horrendous.
Oh,
whatever
God, imagine
people are
if it's
into.
split.
Oh.
Oh, but yet again, it's frozen, I guess.
Yeah,
So it's like
as
you're
it
fucking Mr.
defrosts,
Freeze.
as it would like slowly defrost while it's inside you, though, wouldn't it? Because of the warmth. Oh, that's the smell. But with the sex smell, is like sweat smells of a certain thing, semen smells of a certain thing, Kleeman smells like a certain thing, and even if people don't do anal play, a lot of the time you can smell people's assholes. Like sometimes you have sex. Like I've had it before. Have sex with a woman sometimes, fucking them in doggy. I can smell their asshole. It doesn't smell good or bad. It just smells like an asshole. It does. Assholes don't smell like shit. It's a very weird thing to say out loud. But assholes have their own smell. Vaginas do. Penises do. You know, obviously semen does. But males, the foreskin lubricates the head. Obviously, if you're not circumcised, and that liquid's got a smell to it. So it's like all these things. They're a similar genre of smell. I'd call it. So like the sex smell is like sweat, semen, Kleeman, anus, you know, all these.
Yeah, like if someone's had sex in a room, you can definitely smell it when you go in
Definitely.
there. Yeah.
It's got quite a distinctive
Yeah, exactly.
sort of thing. Yeah.
But
Sex is a peculiar, brilliant, strange, weird thing.
it's very strange.
It is, isn't it? I was going to ask also, I don't know if you mind talking about it, but to completely change
AIDS?
subject.
No, I don't have AIDS.
I wasn't going to ask you about AIDS, no.
Okay.
I was going to say with... actually, I've got two things to say.
Yeah, of
Right,
course.
let's
Go ahead.
Right, I'll save one. One will be about Do Where's My Challenge, because
okay.
I want to ask you about that. But
Okay.
before we got into that, I was going to say, we were talking about something before, and I can't remember how we got into it or what it was, but basically, a friend of mine I was talking to the other day, and they were talking about abusive relationships, and people, there is a reason I brought this up, but I can't figure out why. So some people are going to think I'm just randomly bringing up abusive relationships, but with people with attraction, that was it, with attraction, and you know, certain people get with people, and you can sometimes not sure why. When if someone's been in an abusive relationship, they're like 50% more likely to get into another abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing can happen quite a lot. And with that sort of thing, it just makes you think how a lot of the time with attraction, and especially with relationships, that a lot of it you don't even necessarily have a choice a lot of the time. Like when I said about that spark with the girl that I saw last year, where everything was in common, but just didn't have the spark, didn't work out. There's that weird thing that you can't describe, and a lot of people think it's smell because of pheromones. A lot of the time you're attracted to someone who has a different type of immune system to you. So I find a lot of the time, if you notice with couples, one of the couples is normally gets sick all the time, the other one doesn't. And all the women I've ever dated, they always get ill, and I never get ill. Because down to a pheromone level, like a smell that you don't even know you can smell, it makes it so that if you were really susceptible to the flu, and your boyfriend was also really susceptible to the flu, and then you have a kid, all three of you are going to be really susceptible to the flu. One of you gets the flu, you're all dead. But if you get with someone who's really resistant to the flu, and then you have a baby who's also got his resistance, then the flu's less likely to wipe you all out, sort of thing, you know? And with that in mind, as well as a huge amount of psychological things, like with children, like how a lot of your the things you like sexually can be heavily influenced by weird things in your childhood. You know, Sigmund Freud, the psychologist, says about the stages of the developmental stages of oral, anal, and phallic stages of development. I know, it's crazy. There's all sorts of.
Sounds so posh.
Well, the thing is, so many things he talks about. Sigmund Freud was a nut job in a lot of ways. He was addicted to cocaine. He used to sprinkle cocaine in his eye. He was crazy, but he was very,
Sounds like
very,
a party.
very clever. Well, yeah, party man. He came up with loads of great theories, and I'm not going to get into them all now because I'll be boring people. But the anal, oral, and phallic stages, one of them was like the oral is when babies put things in their mouths all the time. And one of the things that he said was, if you give a baby a dummy or something, and then you either give it to them for too long or you take it away too early, they can develop a mild oral fixation. And that can then develop into, when they're older, biting their fingernails or smoking, chewing pens, these sorts of things, and all these habits. But it also can turn into sexual things, like some people just really love oral, some people aren't that into oral. like with the anal stage, he said about if there's hundreds of examples of what can affect the anal or phallic stages. I'm oversimplifying it, but like with the anal stage, one of the things was if you're a baby in a nappy and you have shit and you're left in your own shit, right? If you're cleaned too quickly, he says that you become like an anal person. You become really clean, like a clean freak. If you're left in it for too long, you can become just fine with mess. And if you are the right middle ground, you can become was normal. And all these things of your life that you have no control over that make you who you are. And it's so weird that all these sorts of these outside elements you have no control in can determine who you end up dating, who you sleep with, and how you fuck them. And it's so weird. It's so crazy to think about. And another thing is, I was listening to this on another podcast, they were discussing it, where some people think that like fetishes can almost be learned in a way by association. So let me think. I've had okay. I'll use choking as an example. Okay, when I was younger, I didn't like choking women. Okay, I don't like choking women unless
That's the
they're
best thing
fine
ever.
with it. But like, because of almost every woman I got with liked being choked during
doesn't?
sex. There you go. It's like I've kind of developed a thing where it turns me on a bit to choke women a bit. Obviously only
Obviously
when
not to a point where they're blacked
dying.
out and
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
dying.
It's with. I want to clarify to any people listening to this with choking. It's not crush the fucking windpipe. It's like open your hand, a small amount of pressure on either side of the throat, and a little bit of pressure at the front of the windpipe.
And the best one is when they're doing you from behind and they've literally got their hands on your hair and then they're also choking you while fucking you. That's the best one.
I've done that before with women, and that is a very enjoyable and very intense fuck. I'll agree with you there.
That is a good one.
And so with choking, when I was younger, when I first started having sex, I was very prudish with a lot of things. I didn't want to do anything. It just all freaked me out, you know. But then some of the people I'd get with, they were like choking and things. And now I've kind of developed it's not quite a fetish because I'm not that into it, but I do kind of like it now of choking if the girl's into it, because that's what it's association. I associate, you know, in the bed. The only time I've ever choked anyone is women. I've never put my hands on anyone's throat ever, except with a woman in the bedroom when they want me to. So choking has now become a sort of sexual thing. And the podcast I was listening to, Joe Rogan, he's one of the most famous podcasters in the world, if not the, and he was saying that he dated a woman when in his youth, years and years and years ago, and she had a thing about feet. She had a foot fetish. She loved him like sucking on her feet, playing with her feet, all that sort of stuff. And he said they split up, and for a few months after, he had a bit of a foot fetish. He doesn't anymore because he said he didn't really almost pursue it in a way. He didn't go for that, and none of the women he's been with have had foot fetishes. But knowing that your fetishes can almost just be you do this enough sexually, and it can kind of
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was a massive big tangent, but I want to.
That's all right.
The whole abusive thing. It just made me all think about like how little in control you kind of are, while simultaneously you are. Like you can't control necessarily who you are, but you can control what you do.
Exactly.
But in turn, what you do changes how people act towards you, which does actually change who you are. And as you grow older, obviously, you're just you're part of all your experiences put together. So if you're giving off good vibes and then you're getting good vibes back, as you get older, you'll have more positive outlooks and stuff. So yeah, that's my big old rant, almost a positive rant. But I want to ask you about Dude, Where's My Challenge?
Okay.
So fill people in of how you're associated with them in a sense.
Okay, so my brother used to do it used to be quite a big YouTube channel. Unfortunately, due to the YouTube regulations and stuff, it's unfortunately dropped. I don't know if they're doing it as much as they used to. But it started off in the year 2010, and it did hit the 1 million subscriber mark.
Wow,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, can't remember how many they're on. But basically, my brother started this YouTube channel with his two friends, where they were doing weird challenges, weird things.
Yeah, it was quite a lot like Jackass, I remember.
It was, yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of like back in the day, it was funny and all this other stuff. But I know a lot of people from that channel has now got health issues.
Really?
Very bad health issues because of what they were doing.
Yeah, I saw.
You know, and I must admit, I was in a few of them as well. Where I did, what did I do? I got cream pied.
I hope you mean like. Not...
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend threw cream pies in my face.
I was going to say not the other cream
No,
pie.
no, cream pie.
That's on Pornhub, not on YouTube.
And that's another one. That's my late night show. And then there was what other ones was I in? I was in a cream pie one. I did a shot of absinthe, and
I've got some absinthe in the kitchen.
I was stumbling and drunk across. Honestly, I get white girl wasted on just a little tiny tablespoon of that.
Wow, yeah. Well, I've got some. I'm not offering it to you. Obviously, you drove here and it's like
I was driving. I'd be like off my tits in
it was
the
a
green
Tuesday
fairy.
night, so as well. But I've got some that's
The amount
78%.
of comments on that video though. Someone was like, "Oh, someone should take that ginger girl there and then." Like, okay, that's
Nice
a bit
rape
rapey.
culture, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly,
Jesus.
that's a bit rapey.
Yeah. Yeah, because with Dudes Where's My Challenge, I remember a few of them that they did. There was one where one of the guys ate a cactus.
Yeah, that was
That was quite funny. It was quite
that was
weird.
quite funny. Yeah,
It's like funny with the first bite or two, and then you're just like, I'm just watching a dude eat a cactus now.
exactly.
Like, yeah, and there was the one where they did the Coke challenge where they put Coca-Cola in the pot and they boiled it and stuff, and they ate it, and they were puking.
See,
and
that
stuff.
was the old days of YouTube. I think that was really fun, and then
Yeah.
they got into a business, and it actually was a business.
Yeah.
They had their own filming studio. They had all that, and it just got to a point actually where it now, because unfortunately it's failed in a way because of the fact that YouTube is pulling a lot of adverts down, that they were, it's sad really, because it was such a good channel, it was such a good thing, and my brother absolutely loved doing it, but it doesn't deter him away from doing other things. Like, I said that he wants to do loads of freelance work and all that, so it's
to open the door in a way.
exactly, it does, it opens the door, and I wanted to start YouTube years ago, but I was very self-conscious. I didn't know what I'd want to do. Even now I put out videos where sometimes I think I'm not really proud of it, it's not something that I'm really interested in doing. I want to do a lot of videos with other people opposed to just myself.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of big ideas that I want to do, and entertaining and stuff. But yeah, Where's My Challenge was always a very good, it was a good window, a good insight to see how something so small could get as big as it got.
Yeah, and it's just doing something that you enjoy, and if it gets big, amazing. If it doesn't, you're just still doing something you enjoy.
Exactly, and some bad things come out of it. Of course, I ended up meeting my ex, which wasn't good. And that was somebody who was a bit of a... It's actually strange, actually. That was somebody who he reminded me of old school you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We used to fight like cat and dog back in the day. And then one day, when obviously I'd grown up, he was 5 years older than me, and I had grown up, and obviously I was of age. I was 18. We randomly went out with a friend for a drive because he could drive, and people with cars at the time were so cool.
Yeah.
And then we just started connecting, and then I was like a female version of him, and then I remember we just started connecting, and we used to sneak out because I didn't want to tell my brother about being with him.
Yeah.
And it was a massive shitstorm when I got with him, and then he ended up breaking my heart, which was really bad. But he's someone who I wouldn't say is, I don't want to insult anyone's looks or anything, but he had a very arrogant personality. He was an arsehole. Still an arsehole by the sounds of it. Last time I heard that he kicked his ex-girlfriend out of her own house, which is really strange. A massive arsehole, was a totally unlikable person, and you could see it in the comments, because he was an old school person that used to be on there. People were like, oh, this person, I'm glad you got rid of him, he was an arsehole. I'm glad you dumped him, he was a dickhead.
Was that with one of the things I like about podcasts is almost is the honesty of it in a lot of ways. Like with YouTube videos, especially if someone makes their own a lot of the time, then it can be easier to mask what kind of person you are. Or like with actors, for example, obviously playing different roles, when they go on interviews and stuff, their interviews like 5-10 minutes long. It's really easy just to cut out anything that they seem like a horrible person. You just hear rumours about this person being on set and being a dick, or this, that and the other. But
you don't believe that.
And that's the thing, is some of it is rumours and some of it's true, and it's what can you differentiate between. But with like a podcast, if you sit down and talk with someone for 2 hours straight, unfiltered, some people obviously are very good at pretending to be being the person that they're not, sort of thing. But 9 times out of 10, someone
There's
listens
stuff
to you.
I'd say here that I wouldn't say on YouTube just because of the fact that they're very, very strict.
Yeah.
But I would love to do more videos about maybe mental health and suicide awareness. I'm very open with everything. You could ask me 27 questions, probably the most rudest, crudest, or very personal, and I wouldn't care, because I feel like it's just stuff that's happened. For example, like I touched on this briefly with on YouTube, but I unfortunately have been hospitalised and tried to kill myself 5 times. But now it's just learning on that.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. And it's with this podcast, exactly, you can just speak and say anything you want. I mean, and it's actually quite
liberating.
Better, because you haven't got a camera. People can't see you. They can just hear you.
Yeah, I find that a lot. The camera it adds a lot of pressure, I found. Even when, like, if you're recording yourself as well, you kind of thinking, am I looking at the camera? Do I look down? Do I look here? Do I look... But with this, I keep moving my hands around a lot because I'm very emotive with my hands. But
he's very good with his hands.
But, you know... in a podcast, no one can see what I'm doing with my hands. You know, a lot of the time I'm actually normally...
Wanking.
Well, sometimes. Only the special podcasts.
Wanking while doing a podcast.
Only the special ones. No one knows. That's whenever people hear the tap on the mic.
Hear,
that's the cum splatting against it.
Oh.
But I'm normally, to be honest, I mean, I'm not now, but I'm normally in pajamas.
Wanking?
When I'm not wanking now either. But I'm normally in pajamas when I do podcasts. You know, I've normally had a drink or two. You know, hang with. Most of these things I do with people I'm mates with and stuff. So. They come over and it's just chill atmosphere, you know. I've got my nice chill vibe lamp. I'll wear pajamas, and when people come over, I just go, wear whatever the hell you want. I don't, you know. I did a podcast. I won't be releasing it because we were actually way too wasted. But I did a podcast with my cousin Charlotte, and we only recorded about 20 minutes of it. But we were just drinking loads. It's a messy it's one of those podcasts where
that sounds so funny.
The thing is, if you released,
you should do a podcast, right, where you're sat here, you're sober, just drink, and then at the end, it just sounds like you're just listening to sort of German radio station because you're absolutely wasted.
Yeah, I've thought about doing because Scroobius Pip, one of the podcast, the guy who actually got me into podcasting, he's a rapper, he's a spoken word artist and a rapper. He's British, he's from Essex, I think, or North or some part of London. He's one of my idols, and I don't even know where he's from. Terrible person. But he's got a podcast called the Distraction Pieces Podcast, and he got me into podcasting basically, and he's got a book out about podcasting, that sort of thing as well. And he was the first podcast I listened to, and he kind of inspired me to do it. And I can't remember where I was going with this. Wait, no, I've got it. He does a drunk cast every month or two with his mates, and it's just him, 2 of his mates. They go get drunk. One of his mates has got like a converted shed that's basically a bar, and they do like 4 hours. They just put the mics on, and just get mullered for like 4 hours, and it's hilarious. You know, they just talk about all kinds of different things. So with my podcast, I'm going to expand it more. I'm going to do, you know, more collaborations. I've got one plan. There's a podcaster, I won't say who they are or anything in case it falls through, but they're not huge or anything. They're quite small like I am, but I was chatting to them on a couple of podcast pages, and they're from London, and so I'm going to speak with them on Skype next Tuesday, I think. So this time next week.
You sound like a proper businessman.
Well, I have to try. I'm quite an organised individual. But I'm going to speak to them on Skype, and then I'm going to go up to London and record. I'm hoping to record.
Amazing.
I was hoping to record potentially 2 podcasts, as in a part 1 and a part 2, and them have part 1 on their channel or podcast, and me, or something like that. So I am looking to collaborate more. You know, with your YouTube thing. You know, I'd be happy to be.
Yeah,
on
no, it'd be really,
things.
really good, because I'm always into doing maybe videos where you would need another person.
Yeah, whether it be challenge.
It wouldn't be
talking,
porn though.
That's good. I'm single, but you've got the boyfriend, so you know.
He can be the one sat there eating a sandwich.
He could be the Graham Norton. Does that mean I have to be the Trump then?
You're gonna have to be the Trump.
Okay.
I'm normally the man.
Okay, fair enough. I'll have to take that. Right, I think that's probably a good way to finish the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark.
Oh my god, I'm really sorry hearing
No,
my voice for 2 hours.
you-
That must have been very painful.
Well, I'll split it into 2 parts. So if people aren't happy with it, then they can stop after the first part. But
Okay.
I think it's been a fantastic podcast. It's been very fluid, very great, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Oh, fantastic!
If
Thank
you
you.
just want to remind everyone of your YouTube and any other social media and stuff.
So, Steph the Crab on YouTube, Steph the Crab on Snapchat, Steph the Crab on Instagram, Steph the Crab on Twitter, Steph the Crab on everything, basically. Just Google me, and there's images of me on Google as well.
Wow, that's pretty. That's
Apart
cool.
from nudes.
There's no nudes of
That's
you.
on Pornhub.
Well, I'll make sure I put some links and whatnot.
Oh, and also I'll put some links on the on my videos in the bio and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I'll mention it as well.
Well, yeah, I'm sure a lot of
Because
people.
people want to hear my voice.
I'm sure they will. A lot of people watch you on YouTube and stuff will probably really like to hear you like a more a less edited version where it's just you talking. Just for,
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of the talking, unfortunately. But
Oh no, I think it's for last. Honestly, I've never had a conversation. Last time I've ever had a conversation with someone this long, it's actually been really good. So thank you so much.
no
for
worries,
having me.
it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll put all the links in the description, that sort of thing, and I'm sure we'll do this again, and maybe I'll be on your YouTube or something. So
Brilliant.
it's been an
That
absolute
sounds
pleasure having
really
you on,
good.
Steph.
Thank you so much. Yay.
And that's the end of part 2. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Don't forget you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. You can listen to us on Stitcher and iTunes and all the usual podcast places, as well as YouTube. So if you want to subscribe to us on any of those places, that'd be appreciated. And if you also want to leave a review, that'd be great as well. Next week's episode is with my friend Wayne. I haven't spoken to Wayne, funnily enough, similar to Steph in this way. I haven't really spoken to him since college, instead of Steph hadn't spoken to us since school. So I haven't spoken to Wayne properly in about 5 or 6 years, I think. And he's been very busy. He's now a paleontologist. He's got a degree in that. And he's also an author. He's written 2 books, which I hadn't looked that much into before the podcast, so I could kind of get to grips with it, as well as you guys listening to it, and us all kind of understanding it and unraveling it at the same time. The first part of the podcast is going to be about his books and the sort of the differences in like good and evil in the human psyche, and we go real deep into the human condition. It's an incredibly interesting podcast, and he's a very smart guy. The week after that will be just an hour where we discuss very briefly things about paleontology, which is basically, Wayne describes it as the study of anything from the dawn of time up till basically human civilization, and the way we are now, in a sense. So there's loads of really cool things he has to say about fossils and the prehistoric era and all the differences in the... there's just so much information. If you're just interested in anything to do with history or dinosaurs or fossils or anything like that, then that's definitely one to check out. So yeah, part 1 next week will be about Wayne's books, him being an author and all the sort of detailings of the human condition, and part 2 will be about paleontology. As always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you, especially ones who listened this far, like right to the very end of the podcast, and I'll talk to you next week.